Hello everyone. Welcome to the YouTube Model Builders Thursday night general hangout. Thursday's hangouts are for the general discussion on model railroading that we all can set a topic to discuss for the night. Thursday's hangouts are the proud sponsor of the Tuesday night presentations, the YouTube Model Builders, eMag, and the YouTube Model Builders live show. I want to say thanks for everybody joining in tonight's show. And here's your host for the night, Johnny Reb of Southeast Rails. Hey everybody, and how's everybody doing tonight? Let's see who we got here. We got Dave, we got Newcastle, we got Mr. Hawks, Bill, and Andy on the panel. Let's see, we got AJ and just another model scaler, Sparky, Lee, M&M, Rails, Tony. Hope everybody's doing well. Well, we got a new year. This is what the second show. We got a bunch of new stuff coming in this year. So you guys don't forget, we got the Arduino show starting up the 25th of this month. We'll be posting here pretty soon a tools list. It's pretty much all the basic tools that you need. Just kind of go over it real quick here at the show. Let me get the instruction sheet out here. And I know you going to need a hobby knife. Yeah. What are we doing here? Got all this paperwork. Let's see here. Definitely going to need a hobby knife. The number 11 pointed blade. I would probably suggest also getting a chisel blade too to go with that. A few of those. You definitely want to keep a bunch of sharp blades. Let's see, we need sandpaper. Definitely need sandpaper. They're recommending between 200 and 600 grit. I like to use the 100 grit, so I go between 100 and 200. Be sure and read the instructions before you start building on the any wood kit that you do, to make sure that you have a lot of things at hand and you understand what they're talking about. Go like this BTS kit, and the instructions where they talk about washes, they actually tell you exactly how to make the wash. You know, what to use.
We got to read the directions, Johnny?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. But
BTS kits, this was a really good start for us. They've got a lot of very descriptive language in their documentation. They provide some detailed parts and stuff. It's a really good starter kit.
Yeah. You want to make up a sanding block too. Also, emery boards work very well. You'll need a metal straight edge, hobby scale, your ruler. Pretty much all your hobby shops carry those anyway.
And Modeler Man Mike has a video on his channel of taking a board, gluing down a piece of sandpaper. That's really handy.
Yeah, you got that one from Miles.
Oh yeah, it's a Miles trick. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's a really handy thing, though. People should go.
Yeah, a lot of clamps. I mean, like Harbor Freight sells a 4-inch bar clamp. I found those to work pretty good. Clothespins, they work good as clamps too, believe it or not. Yeah, you just need a good assortment of clamps. On the glues, you'll need like Tight Bond wood cement, Elmer's white glue. They're saying here JB Weld epoxy. You know, and also make sure you got a good selection of twist bits, the number bits, and the letter bits with pin vices to hold them. Most of that is for mounting details on the building, like your outside lights, signage, stuff like that. And you got to remember, though, when you're building the wood kit, don't get in a big hurry. You don't want to use, you got to give that wood glue and all time to cure out before you start moving or messing with it. Also, we've got the Arduino workshop. That's going to be the first show is the 25th of this month. The fine scale starts on February 7th. But we got Chris of MRL Trains is still an Arduino show, starting out as beginners. And this is a workshop, hands-on type show. So looks like it's going to be really good. He's been getting a lot of good response out of that. A lot of people have already gotten in their Arduino starter kits. I've got one that came in first of this week, and I just now got put into a tackle box so I could divide stuff up. And these shows now, the Tuesday and Wednesday shows, are going to be 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern time. So be sure and put that on your calendar. Check your time zone for your actual time wherever you are at, because you could be an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours behind, or even 16 hours if you're in Australia. Yeah. Plus it'll be the next day too. So anybody got anything going on there? I see. How about Dave? What you got going? Other
Trying
buddy.
to get my lighting working properly so I could see. No, I'm trying to do some custom carving of rocks on the cliffs and stuff like that. A while back, I happened to be down. I think it was on 71 in Kentucky, and I snapped about 500 photos driving down the freeway as I was going. Just taking pictures of rocks and all that stuff on the side of the freeway
Yeah.
in different formations. So I'm trying to recreate some of it out of the photos so that way, I've never got into this mess before. Usually I just do a rock casting and call it a day. And this layout, I'm just doing a little bit of everything. So try to do something a little different. I mean, the only other thing I did earlier in the day was I ended up putting my turntable pit in for the layout. But now that the drywall's all done, or dried up, I should say, now I can start carving on it. So, slow process on this one. And of course, the first one I got to mess with is the one right out in the open. I couldn't do the one that was way off in the corner that I could bury if I screwed it up. But nah, that's about it though. First day and a couple days being in here.
Yeah. You what is that anyway? Is that hydrocal or what?
No, this is actually low special Proform drywall. Quick set.
Oh, okay.
Works really well. Nice and strong, I'll tell you that. I've leaned on quite a few pieces of it and haven't broke it yet, so I'm thinking it'll take the abuse. But no, I was surprised. I mean, 2-to-1 on the mix, and I actually had plenty of time to put all this stuff on where it's all vertical, and it actually did not run. It pretty much stayed in the area, which I was surprised.
Yeah.
I know usually when I do drywall work and it gets a little runny, and I don't know. This time it just got a little. I guess I got it mixed right finally.
Yeah.
I guess after 30 years of practice.
Yeah. Yeah, you might want to also take a wire brush and kind of scuff it a little bit too to give it those little really light lines in there too.
Right. Well,
And
I've got a couple of different ones ended up
yeah,
pilfering through my toolbox at work, and I got one that's really a little bit coarse, and it's probably the one I'll beat it up on a little bit. So, I've never done this before, so I figured, what the heck, give it a try.
yeah, yeah.
What's the
Done.
worst that could happen? I got to go over to Andy's house and borrow his molds.
Yeah, yeah.
You're welcome to the molds, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna buy in the next week or two. I'm gonna buy the Joel Bragdon system. The whole system of all those vinyls, that the compounds, the resin, the styrofoam. You got to buy jugs of that stuff, and then molds. And their molds are like, Bragdon has molds that are like 2 foot by 4 foot.
Jeez.
I'm telling you. So, but you can pour a little of that material, vinyl compound that makes a surface, then a little styrofoam behind it, and you can pour, say, a 6-inch by 6-inch square over this corner and a piece over there. So when you get one mold, you're getting all kinds of various textures that you can make smaller rocks with.
Oh, heck yeah.
Or you can mold one big old rock and chop it up, because it's essentially styrofoam with a vinyl coat on it that gives it, a good crisp edge like you'd expect from rock. And
Right.
I mean, it's exceptional looking stuff. And you can make these big molds, these big, big rocks that are lightweight. And some of the rock work I need, here at Appalachian Region Modeling, I need some fairly large cliff structures. So, I mean, I modeled one on these couple modules over here that's about 3 feet long, 3.5 feet, 4 feet long, but and about a foot tall. But I made it with 24 plaster molds and tried to patch them in together. I'm not an artist, obviously. So,
Yeah, camera's off, Andy. If you're trying to show anything.
Yeah, I can show it actually.
I didn't know if you was trying to show it or not.
Don't be embarrassed. I don't know what I'm doing, and I'll let everybody see.
Oh, I'm really quick to say, anytime I talk about what I'm doing, I'm real quick to say, this is my experiment. This is how some people, Waterman Mike always said, this is how, not how to, but how I do. I love that expression. But, and I got a bunch of stuff stacked up since I'm putting the scenery materials in the valley right now, with coating it, sand, dirt everywhere, all that. But, so there's this rock area that divides across a gap that I haven't patched yet, and it's all patchy. It's a bunch of individual rocks. Like that section back there. There's like, I don't know, a whole bunch of molds in that, and it's. I'm not an artist, so. And I looked at pictures of cuts of hand dug rock cuts that date back from when these were cut in my era. Try to do it for pictures, but it still just doesn't look. I sure see a lot of people's work that's a lot better than mine. And you look at people like Mike Deverall. In his new layout, he's done a little bit of that rock work and has some videos on his YouTube channel about how to use that Bragdon resin system. But better than that, if you look at some of the old videos of his Coyote and something railroad that he tore out to build this new railroad he's building, and it was, heavily Colorado mountain, and he has rock, 3-4 feet tall, and entire mountains covered in stuff, and it's gorgeous. And it's done with those big Bragdon molds. But when you see other people do it, like you look at Lex Parker's layout, it's all individual plaster molds. He made most of the molds himself though, but he's patched them together and made it look good. Or Mike Kopfelone's rock quarry, where there's 12.5 rock molds and he's patched them all in together. But I'm not an artist, and that I'm not great at it, obviously. So
yeah. I need Dave to come over and do my curtains.
No. I don't even do them. I'm sorry. We'll see. I know in probably next Thursday, I'm probably going to be putting on a little demonstration of either Douglas firs or redwoods, how to make the trees and stuff like that. So
Oh, you said you were doing that tonight.
That'll be good.
yeah, fortunately, I don't have the supplies tonight.
God, I'm messing with you. That'd be awesome.
So I'll probably just come in here and do it. So I have the my little laptop. I can just set it up and go because I don't have my camera yet.
Have you seen the trees Miles has made that he has basically a road case for that he takes out as part of his clinics for demonstration?
No.
He has some that they're ever been a 3 foot tall if they're not approaching 4 feet tall. Some of them, they're incredible.
Well, I mean, both me and Miles. I mean, we modeled. I think he's in 0-30 if I remember right, or O scale, one of the two.
No, he is 0-30, and he was 0-30 Colorado narrow gauge. So that mountain modeling, high narrow gauge style modeling. Now he's modeling 0-30, but he's modeling an urban railroad around Kansas City. So
right. Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting.
He was 0-3. He was 0-3 with brass locomotives and all that jazz before. And he's, opted for 0-30. It's tremendously a lot more economical.
Right.
0-30's, downright affordable. 0-3 is, $1,800 a locomotive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now that Newcastle has gotten him a good camera, a set of headphones, and now he's got his extension cable on his camera, and it's on a tripod on the layout, we can see a lot more of what he's doing. We can't hear you, Josh.
I'm talking to myself. I'm pretending I'm the conductor.
It's all right. I talk to myself all the time, too. It's when you answer yourself that you have to get worried about it. Or if you answer yourself, then after you answer yourself, you say, huh? That's what makes that. You should be nervous about that.
Yeah. I'm just role-playing. What really Operation Model Operation is, and I'm switching the steel mill, is you're really acting. You're acting a job of the railroad.
Sure. That's what Frank Ellison called it, one of the earliest pioneers of operations, model railroad operations in the 1940s. He said, like a movie stage, the trains are the actors, the layout is the stage.
Yep.
It's like a big role-playing game. That's why we like operations so well.
Yeah, you don't want to do heavy rules where it gets not boring, though you still want to reenact what the railroad did.
Sure you do. You know some heavy rules. Cut pay when people make mistakes and stuff.
Andy, rivet counter. This is not operations. It can be a rivet counter operations, though. I don't know how many of your operators will like that.
Nah. You can go overboard really easily, and you should.
Yes, you can. Yeah, this is what I worked on some track earlier. I did some wiring and worked on the relays. Now I'm just running some trains in the steel mill.
Yeah, well, you need to start get back to the inner voice or raise your mic up a little bit, please.
Yeah. So, you guys want? I can show you the relays I've been working on. Now I got the cord. Let me turn on the light and get the camera down. So let me get a little. here's the relays, and this is the tortoises. And thanks to
Move a little slower. Don't jerk your camera around. Now tilt it down just a little bit so when you see, all right, right there. That's good. You can see the relay and the tortoise.
yeah, instead of wiring 2 wires all the way from the control panel, there's a trigger wire, and then there's the bus line. And the bus line is the regular power for the tortoise.
Yeah.
And there it is. And then, thanks to Big Bill, always check out South Brooklyn Railroad or the Catastrophe Railroad. And then these 2 relays that are down here, there's 2 on the other side. These control the inner LUM tower signals, and these are the working signals.
Yeah.
And what happens is, if the power is on, it's green. If the power is red, it's stop. If the switch is lined to the opposite direction, it cuts the power off of this, or the train is in the block and it cuts the power off of it. And or if you're not set to the right direction of travel on the control panel. And there's another one of the tortoises. And there's all the wiring, all the...
Move your camera slow now. You're making people seasick.
Sorry. This is not supposed to be a shipping YouTube channel. This is supposed to be a model railroading. And relays, and these are a couple dozens. I'm gonna get up now. So I showed the control panel before, the inside of it. There's the direction switch, if you can see there. And I'm gonna actually put the camera right here, and you can see it's all stop. If I set it that other direction, I get a clear signal. And what that means is I'm giving power to the relay, and the relay, the toggle switch, is giving power to that relay. If, let's say, if I threw the tortoise to the other track, it's going to reroute the power going to the other relay, and the same thing repeats itself. If I want to send another train from the other direction, I gotta throw this way, and they give you 2 stops, so it gives you a clear signal on the... Why is that wire... Oh, I'm having that problem again. Damn it. That loose wire came loose again. Damn. Darn it. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to get back running trains. I'm pretty much that. I'm going to be building some shelves.
Where did you find the optical relays?
I think that was, I forget, Amazon or eBay. So you see here.
Did you get the bases with it too?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I ordered, how many did I order? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I think I ordered 50 of them. Or something like that. So, here's the broken switch I broke. Or John broke. See, it broke this piece, and it snapped. I don't know if I could weld a piece of metal between the 2 points, because they're just grounds. Or I'm gonna definitely buy a new switch. So I wonder if I could fix this one. See, it's broke. See, 1.1, it's broke on this side. See, I got a screw there to make sure it doesn't move when I go across it. Right now it's, what's they call it in the railroad? Spiked. So, I'm gonna have to figure it out. You think I could wire a bar across those 2 points, or the metal couldn't do it?
I don't know. You could try it and see.
Yeah.
You can solder to it.
That's what I'm thinking. I could take out the plastic piece and solder right to the metals, because they're both grounds. It's not like we got 2 different polarities like HO. And this is just a manual switch. It used to be back there and it was originally going to be put on tortoises, though because of the old rods, this was the first one we did, it was too tight, and when we tried to pull it out, it broke in half.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's pretty much the progress this week. So far, instead of me broken a terminal block underneath the train layout, I'm going to have to rewire the whole terminal block, and it's one of the main terminal blocks with almost all the wires on it. And it's going to be a pain in the... But, though, I can't do it with this on top. Though, that's pretty much it. So you can see the terminal block hanging right up here. Right down here, see?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that way. Get a light.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. Yeah, that's all right.
See the 2 terminal blocks?
Yeah.
They broke right 3 in half. They broke the top, middle, and bottom.
Huh.
Yeah, I think it's just maybe a defect in the plastic or something. Or maybe I tightened the screw too tight and snapped it.
Yeah, I would go with tightening the screw too tight.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Though, hey, one guy that was a railroad employee, train master, he said they always had to try to find a consequence for the situation in the form. They couldn't do the checkbox. Things happen, or yep, I'm trying. Get this. Yeah, that's pretty much my progress today. I'm gonna be building a shelf this weekend. I'm getting a break from wiring. I've been wiring for so long. I need a break. Though I gotta say, that is a game. It's a role playing. It's acting.
Yeah. Hang on a second. Andy, before you refill that sifter again, turn your microphone on.
It's a game. It's also a you gotta remember, we're a hobby. That's my last word. This is a hobby. That's why I'm taking a break from wiring this weekend.
Seems to be the guys that have the most success are the guys that sure keep it like a hobby, but make sure they commit a little bit of time to it every day. You know, you hear like George Selios and those guys, they're like, not every day do I really feel up to it, but every day I try to put, a few minutes in, keeps me, keeps work progressing.
For me, it's kind of like a life almost, though, too. I have other hobbies. This is just my main really big thing. It's almost what I talk about. Though.
No, it's not.
Dave.
Mr. Operation.
Yeah, but George Celios says I'm going down the layout for 15, 20 minutes, and he stays down there for 12 hours.
That's another thing he said, is that some days I don't really feel like it, but then, I'll go down and get started. I'll get motivated. Things will start happening. You feel good about it.
Yep. Also, you gotta take breaks to different parts of the hobby. You gotta take breaks on certain parts. That's why running the trains, I do that between all the other projects.
Well, that's why, as everybody's heard me say, I'm not a fan of the approach of, I understand it for beginners and for small railroads, but for good-sized railroads, things that are years of commitment, not months of commitment, that it's rough to do all the bench work, all the track, all the wiring in that order, because humans don't work that way. We get tired. So, some days I come home and I feel like spreading dirt. I feel like getting dirty. Some days, last night I sat down and weathered, or night before last, I sat down and done some oil weathering on a car or something.
Yeah.
Let me interrupt here, Andy. since you're doing this, you want to give a kind of a run through on what all you're doing here? That looks like white glue you put down.
Mod Podge, but it's a PVA. It might as well be white glue.
All right.
And
Yeah,
then,
So you're putting the white glue down, and now you're.
yeah, and I use real dirt run through a coffee grinder. This is dirt here. I want this little slope right here to have some dirt on it, but I didn't want to cover my area at the bottom. And I'll vac all this off, of course. So I'll put areas where I really care about the leaf part. I'll put that down first, and then where there's little clearings and stuff in the glue sub, come back and dust it over with dirt. Once it's all set up and you vac it off, this little patch of dirt here, I'm not sure you can see it. It's not that well lit, but
Yeah.
This little patch of dirt will go away except for the few spots I covered up. But that little steep hill slope will be covered in dirt like this is here. So this is a mix. So back here, since this is deep forest back area that I will cover with polyfill to make it look like undergrowth, and it's thick. You're looking up through, a foot of trees, so it doesn't have to be very well detailed. This is ground up plant topper, ground up in a coffee grinder and glued down. And I glue it down with cheap white glue because who cares? It's back in the background. And I'll cover it with polyfill. Then I come down and I transition or fade it into ground up leaves. Again, run through a coffee grinder. Don't use the wife's coffee grinder. That's a hard lesson learned.
Yeah.
Buy your own, dedicated for the task, or face the consequences. But you get, ground up leaves that are, fairly particulate. These do require a clear coat or something to seal them because just like they do outside, they will break down in color even if they're glued down. So I will spray Mod Podge flat over them once I've vacuumed it and sealed all the little areas up. I'll put Mod Podge flat over it, which get it in a spray bottle. So Mod Podge for the base and then Mod Podge flat over top of it. And you can fill in little gaps and stuff with that Mod Podge flat. Also, spray Mod Podge flat over it, and then you can put some of the undergrowth that's surface mounted. A lot of my undergrowth, I stick with an awl, and stick it with an awl, plug it, stick it in like you do trees and such.
Yeah. Now that's on top of that rock that you have right there in the hill. Yeah. What is that on top running down one side?
These patches here are they start out as polyfill, woodland scenics polyfill, or you could use a loose cut your own air filter for a house air filter. You could use that too, but it's a little coarser. I spread that out real thin and I load it, and then I leave it black, and I leave it black or paint it black if it's not, and then soak it down with 3M Super 77 and put leaf flake on it. And I normally use, sometimes I'll mix colors, like this one has a couple mixed colors in it, but I normally put the brown leaf, the dead leaf on it, and then spray paint it with various shades of flat or satin. Actually, satin has a nice effect. Various green colors to get the color, and it's the closest thing to kudzu. And some of those that I've done in the foreground, I took your suggestion, Johnny, and I took some thread and held them up, sprayed them a little bit, and put some leaf on that thread and stuck it through, so it kind of gives that effect that happens where the vines, go, come up or free hanging in the air,
Yeah.
But you get the best effect with the dirt if you'll use a sieve to put it on with, or a screen. It's
Yeah, I've got to work on those vines because we got husband and wife now. They're going to be coming out on Wednesdays, and they're doing a couple of different scales, but gauges. And she's interested in doing the scenery.
sure.
So I was showing her that stuff on the very back on the incline, and one section where we put some vines coming down the rock.
Yeah.
She's looking at it. She goes, "What are those green lines? That's supposed to be water."
Oh, what did you use for that? Did you use your ground foam?
No, I used that leaf flake.
Oh, huh.
Like it was. I think I did. It might have been ground foam. So I guess we'll go back and rip them off and do something else. I told her how I made it up. She goes, "Oh, okay." So, but
And then I'll come back after I put that after I spray that flat on it, the Mod Podge from a spray can from a distance. But I got to cover my rimmer here because this is gloss now. It's polyurethane. And then after then you can stick down like these grass mat fabrics. Yeah. They're static grass, but they're intermixed or semi adhered to this polyfill like material. And you can stick they'll stick down right into that spray and give you that undergrowth grass effect that I'm going for here.
A word of advice to you guys. Andy said about using a coffee grinder. Do not use coffee grounds unless you want your layout to actually come alive.
Oh yeah, it's a food product. Yeah, you gotta stay clear of food. Anything that's a food product. I mean, even leaves are. There's some question about leaves and dirt. A lot of people, and actually I did the first quite a bit of the layout that I did over there. I cooked it for a while to kill anything. I haven't been doing that lately because as I've read other people doing it, Joey Ricard and others, they say they've been doing it for years and never seen a problem. So, but I would be wary of any food product. You can make a good stain out of coffee grinds. That makes a pretty good stain to your wood with it, but don't leave the actual naked coffee grounds.
Yeah, you'll wind up with a bunch of little critters running around, microscopic critters.
Yeah, you don't want that. You don't want that at all. But most of my scenery has to be plugged in, like my trees. They all have to be. That's one reason I really like styrofoam. That I really like styrofoam because it allows you to just to plant just plant trees with a pin or whatever. And then I put dirt down. I do various things. Like over here, I've got ground foam, which everybody's heard me condemn it. I don't like ground. I mean, I like foam rubber just fine in the couch, but on the layout, I'm not as fond of it. But I do use it as a base, especially where I want to put some of this grass mat material in the background. This covers a lot of area real quick, whereas static grass takes a lot more time and effort. And that material sticks really good to that ground foam as a base. That works quite well for me. But then other areas like this hillside, you see, this hillside here, I've already pre-coated that in 2 layers of dirt because I wanted a really good surface here. Because this is static grass, a lot of static grass here, and a little bit of brush and undergrowth and some of this. We were talking about this earlier in the hangout. I think it's called hog's hair or something like that. It's this stuff right here. This stuff, hog's hair brush. It's got leaves and stuff on it, and it makes a really good undergrowth. Pull it up and cut it short and adhere it in, and you can put static grass down and then adhere it right down into static grass. It makes a really nice, somewhat forested undergrowth. This is a deep forest, so not a lot of grass except along some of the edges here. And I've already put dirt in this area where there's some, static grass is going to come across this area here with some really tall and some brown static grass. This will get an undergrowth of grass, but a greater and a darker grass with some logs and rocks. And then trees, because that hillside there is critical to blocking. This looks like a mess right now because I got to vac all this up. But that hillside is critical to blocking the view, so you can't see where the river runs into the backdrop. So, but you want it to be somewhat transparent so you can enjoy the view, the depth of view that you're getting. So it's got to be, it's got to block it to a point, but not too much. And I've already started adhering some stuff on this side, sticking some leaves to that. I stuck that stuff in the paint, but everybody does that. They put paint down and then put scenery materials right on top of the paint, and I don't have good luck with that. It doesn't stick to the paint very well for me.
Yeah, Ralph Rossetti made a comment here. plaster cloth and sculptor mold also let you plant your trees with a pin.
Do they, if you have enough thickness, I suppose? My problem with, so I used to do screen wire and plaster over it. Of course, we all did that did it back in the day. That's the way you did it. But it's hollow. It's essentially hollow. I mean, even this hillside here, this hillside is hollow and it's covered with quilt matting and then hardened with cedary goop. But that quilt matting is an inch thick probably. So I soaked in the paint and then ground goop over top of it, especially in this area where I need undergrowth. Back there, not so much. It's still semi-spongy. I'm curious as to whether they'll stick up. So my thought was to lay enough ground goop along the edge of the rails where I could get trees that were quite strong and use my sagebrush trees, all along, back in here, because this is all ground gooped up so far. And then any trees I plant up here, if they're not real rigid this way, they'll be supported by the trees below. They'll have to be in there, quite dense. And I did the same thing at the top, is put ground goop at the top, so I would have a rigid tree line at the top. Of course, this runs into a backdrop here, but a top deck's coming along. There's a top deck coming along above it, running into it, and then it slopes off this way. So you can't really see that anyway. The trees run right up behind the valance of the front fascia, so no sky or anything, just trees, a bit of backdrop with some trees on it, painted on it, or a picture of some trees or something. But I'm not expecting this, this spongy material. I'm not expecting that to hold trees rigidly, and screen wire suffered from that too. You could stick them in there, but they would wobble. You have to have fairly, in my experience, you have to have fairly thick plaster. Now I can start with, and I make up these little trays to work off from. Now,
you cooking that dirt after you sift it or before you sift it?
Shh, my wife might hear you say that.
Oh.
Not. I'm joking. If she won't catch me, then yeah, I cook it. But there's plenty on the layout that hasn't been cooked. So I cooked it all to begin with, but then I see Joey Ricard say he'd been putting it down for years, and if he tried to cook it, his wife would kill him, so he don't cook it. I was like, all right, works for him. So, but I also made up some strings of that vine material. That's leaf flake, so I could cut it into pieces and hang it, let it hang and grow down. And I'll grab me a board and throw all kinds of stuff on it, from woodland scenics, fine leaf foliage, to bits of super tree with leaf flake on it. I wish I knew what this was called. This is one of my favorite undergrowth materials. It's really stiff. It's great. And I've got, some sill floor flowers and some loose scraps off of super tree. Thing is, with a box of super trees, there's nothing in it that's scrap, that's waste. I use every little bit and piece. I just stuff it in as undergrowth. And it sticks and logs and just and then I dig up my dirt out of the front yard, and I sift it all out, of course, and I capture the roots off from it, and I'll wash the roots and clean up the roots, and parts of the roots make some of the best looking undergrowth coverage under here. So, and I've got a few of these trays laying around that have a mix of working material for producing the undergrowth, that have, a mix of various things on them. So you can just, throw them out here and work. This one's got all kinds of pieces, and all cut into small pieces. So I can have a mix of, 10 or so different scenery materials. Some of this is plant topper material cut up and pulled out, and or sill floor flowers. I mean, there's this plant topper. You can buy this plant topper, like it, looks like static grass. Really looks like static grass that grows around wet areas, like beside of my river here. but it comes as a from Hobby Lobby. It comes as a circle of material that you just take pliers to, and I mean it's like $3. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
For $3.
Hang on a second. Ron, if you're having a lag problem, if you take your cursor over to your video screen, you'll see the red timeline. Click back a little bit. That'll back you up. And that way you'll watch a steady stream. You won't be in the real time, but you'll watch a steady stream. It won't be lagging on you too bad.
Wasn't Joey Ricardo like an NS or Conrad? No, I think it's NS. He was an NS conductor or something.
He was. I think it was NS. Actually, I'm not positive it was NS. I think it was CSX. But he was conductor for a few years for the railroad before he was doing his graphic stuff. But his videos are, he's one of those, dozen or so model railroading YouTube channels that everybody should watch. They're just, his is great material.
Yeah, he just also, for anybody starting to do like dispatching, a modern day layout, I would say go back to in his YouTube channel to track warrants. To his it's the latest video or something. That was an excellent really one of the best videos I've ever seen done on the track warrants.
But he shows how simple it is. So that's a good video.
Yeah, Ralph, let's see, where is it at now? Yeah, he asked, all right, over on that other side to your right, I guess that new section. What are you using for the vertical edge where the spongy area is?
Vertical edge where the fascia edge and such and the backdrop.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, this is so for right now. This edge is just foam core painted to my temporary fascia color. I'm going to cover it with styrene, but only after I get all of this made. And then I supported the back of it with a piece of foam core, and there are styrofoam ribs inside to support it. The ribs, so they do that job. And then and they are every 3 or 4 inches or so. And I used white beadboard sheet, dirty, messy styrofoam, and cut it in a triangle roughly. Made it a little, irregular, and stuck them in there, glued them down with liquid nails for projects. So it's a cheap way to use up some free white styrofoam that I wouldn't want to carve for my, for my July scenery. So it was perfect for that job.
Yeah.
And I'm starting with, on the other side of the layout, coincidentally, I'm starting to do some of my first everybody look away for a second or something.
Put it back on Dave for a second.
I got a bunch of my good trees off the layout right now as I'm working over here. I'm starting to work over here with florist foam. So that's glued down. I got to chop it all out where that road is. I hadn't figured out what I wanted to do with the top of the mountain now, so I glued down some florist foam. And money aside, I would have used pink foam for all the substructure of the layout, and then I would have used florist foam for everywhere, for all this hillside back here where trees are stuck in, because what's better than a material that's designed to stick stems in? Exactly what it's meant for. So I'd stick, tree material into that. And actually, the most recent Model Railroad hobbyist, I'd watched Mike Conflow do it a few years ago. I just couldn't build a layout this size with ground foam. And I have a renter that is a florist. I have a florist that rents from in our building, and I had them price me a box. They give me cost on it, $270 for 10 2-foot by 3-foot sheets or something. So it would cost, just to cover that in florist foam, that wood run down through there, it would cost $300+ for that. And I covered it with 2 sheets of $25 styrofoam. So it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome, but it's high dollar and you're just going to cover it up. So I'm going to do the florist foam in a few areas, especially where I do a lot of the more delicate, if I can show you this, some of the more delicate undergrowth, like behind, well, it's really hard for me to see. See what you see. Behind this, I've been working on my road bed recently, so I'm getting that all permanent. But in that undergrowth, if you look, here at the tower and you're looking up through there, there's a lot of undergrowth under there, rock and logs, and there's a lot of undergrowth under there, and a house that you can barely see up through the trees I'm still working on. But so there's just a whole lot of undergrowth there, and it's more detailed. But it's that was before the trees went down. I took paintbrush bristles and used spray adhesive and used the Joey Ricard technique for name drop him one more time. His technique for adhering long grass, like the woodland scenics grass, which I did all along this front edge here. These fields up here, they're all done with that woodland scenics grass rolled up like a Play-Doh snake and pulled apart, adhered, and pulled away from that spray adhesive. That works pretty good for really tall grass, where my static grass applicator won't put that 10 mil grass or something. It won't do that taller grass. So, but I did paintbrush bristles, and then I painted the tops of them with some adhesive and put some flower material and foam material that I stuck 2 styrofoam full sheets of that various material into it, and logs and rocks. It just takes a lot to make that detailed undergrowth. So, but then my undergrowth at the front, this front of the layout here, which again, I've got a lot of these trees out where I've been working on the road bed. And I assure you, if you spend 8 hours building a tree, it don't take me that long anymore, but if you spend a lot of hours building a tree, you will take them out before you break them. This undergrowth is done with a lot of these grass mats that are so popular these days. These Martin Wellberg from over Germany's grass mat material. They make this. He has this, really good looking bush material here that looks better. The camera doesn't do it justice, and it's like it looks like the Pollack from Germany bushes. They're really quite exceptional, but a man can't cover a layout in those grass mats when you pay $20 for a foot by foot roughly. If you're building a quite small layout, you could make a lot of those decisions, but you want to fill a 250 square foot room with layout, you're gonna have to make some compromises. And
Yeah.
so I use some of those materials right up front, but I want undergrowth in certain areas, like over where I'm working now. You're standing at that bridge and you're looking up through the trees. And that's everybody's heard me condemn puffball trees. Puffballs are fine for certain applications, and especially if your layout is lower. But if your layout's at eye level, as mine is, you're not looking at the tops of the trees. You're looking up through the trees as if you were standing trackside. And there's clearings and openings and,
Yeah, that's
millions of years of leaves laying on the ground. So
that's what the one problem with Jim Spears, XMR rotor, a guy I know from our club, though his layout, it's Appalachia, though it's all puffballs, and you're almost looking down on it or up on it. You're looking up on it. It's up high. It goes.
But they work if you're looking down from above.
No, it's not down. It's up high. It doesn't look really good, and he only did it in one area, and he quit.
Hey, Josh, turn your mic up, please.
Okay.
And there's ways to improve puffballs. If you do it's not exactly the back that looks so bad. It's the right along the track side where the tops of the trees are coming right down to the ground. If you'll take a bunch of sedum trees and stick them up, and then put puffballs on top of those, and then put puffballs back up behind that, so that you're the edge of the forest has a row of tree structures, branch structures. I mean, it doesn't hardly look like a piece of sagebrush. That looks like
No.
that looks like a cemetery tree, but you can still take, these small pieces of sagebrush, and I've got to where I can make these quite good, quite quickly, and especially if you are doing slightly in the background, like in that valley that I was over where the bridge is. After I get right behind what you can see, I will just take super tree material and adhere it to the sides of this to build up a tree, because you can't see the fine detail. Whereas if you have them right at your edge and you're looking right up through the trees, you can't have stems hanging down. You've got to be able to look and see all those branches coming back and touching the tree where they should. You're going to see all this because you're being at eye level. You're looking right up through these trees.
Yep.
So it's all about how you model. Puffballs are okay under certain applications, but there's a few things you can do to really improve them. Take, either woodland scenics, tree arbiters, or wire arbiters, or sedum trees with the pods cut off the top, just the sticks and branches. Stick them in there, put a puffball on top. That would be a massive improvement over the traditional cotton ball scenery.
What I use, where it's been in the distance, way in the distance behind my actual trees, when I use those kind of like puffballs, I just take a clump of sedum, not sedum, now I'm like, the woodland scenics, the green stuff.
Oh, polyfill, yeah.
Not polyfill, lichen.
Lichen, sure.
And that gives you a little more ragged look to it, not so rounded.
I use lichen, like I haven't put it here, but some behind this area there is some where the scenery meets the backdrop. I will use lichen along that edge so that if it happens that there's a clear view, depending on how tall you are and all this stuff, if there's a clear view up the forest floor, you wouldn't be able to see where the photo meets, because I'll have photo backdrops, so you won't be able to see where the photo meets the forest floor.
You're not going to have
various things, but I use a lot of lichen for that edge.
You're not going to have Dave come out and do your backdrops.
Which Dave? Dave, everybody Dave here?
Yeah, the Dave right here. That backdrop he did his last layout was excellent.
Painting. Yeah, I tell you what, go look at the layouts that are exceptionally well painted. Lex Parker, his layout is Lex Parker, exceptionally well painted. Charles Kirk, he is a professional artist. He paints for a living. His backdrops are exceptional. There's a few of these people that have done really good painted backdrops. And if they are, and Mike Deverall, and he showed some videos of how he shot, projector and stuff from designs on the wall at times to kind of plan it out, and he painted it, and it looks pretty doggone good. But backdrops are one of those things that if they're not done well, really well, then they're a distraction. So a painted actually, Phil Wyman from our community here, he painted some first-class backdrops. I mean, clouds that look like, Bob Ross was hanging out with him. They're just gorgeous. But if you're not great at it, and I'm not at all, not by
I tried it myself.
Yeah,
I'm not too.
Now the rattle can white with some Tor cardboard, those little template clouds. Yes, great. I'm going to do that. But for the trees and the background mountains and the background buildings in my city scene, I'm going to use photos.
Okay, here's kind of what I'm doing.
I want to switch over here to Dave, because he's doing some painting now, so if he gets a chance to unmute his mic so he can talk about what he's doing.
Looks pretty good.
So this is kind of what I'm going to be doing. This was just my old painted backdrop was behind here. Future backdrops might do like a gray effect. I see, like to show really distant mountains and then have the picture backdrop mountains. So there they are. If you guys can see that.
Yeah.
And it'll be just like that. With mountain and lichen back there, and the mountains, and I think that's HO or N scale. I can't remember which size the backdrop is. And then I'm going to have like a gray mountain in behind. That's my old tempted painting backdrops right behind there.
Speaking of selective compression, here in a few minutes when we circle back, I want to show you something that Ed sent me. I got some 3D printed small parts we'll talk about.
Yeah. All right, Dave, you back up.
Oh, hey, sorry.
Got
That
one.
one is not so nice. So I think what we'll do is, yeah, I'm not taking it slow. Sorry. We'll go directly to that one. That one actually is turning out a little bit better.
What are you putting on it? India ink and
Right now, this is just raw umber,
okay.
really diluted. I
It's
ended up,
acrylic.
yeah, acrylic paint. I ended up, I got the cast damp with the spray bottle first, so it didn't sit there like a sponge and just absorb it all up.
Yeah, man, sure will.
But like I said, this is trying something new compared to what I did the last time, where I just let it absorb up, and it really turned out really dark, and I wasn't too thrilled with that on the last one.
Yeah, I come back after talking to Ralph Renzetti, come back and Ed too. Actually, we were on a hangout with a few of us, and we were all talking about it. And I come back with a bunch of acrylics. I did the same thing you're talking about. And it got dark, and I come back and dry brushed it with a bunch of different acrylics, and it's the best result I've got so far.
Well, I think I got that top one a little bit too wet. That's why I moved down here. I'll let that one dry up, but I'll just, like I say, just trying something new, something different, and get some different coloring on it. Worst case scenario, if I don't like it, well, fine, I'll just carve it off and do it over.
That's it, man. You can't be afraid of it. That's what you do. It's a learning experience. Is that why you got that so thick to your left? That's your next carving spot?
Here?
Yeah, the cake icing pile right there, the whipped cream.
Eventually, the cake frosting there will get done, yes, to where it will look like this. I didn't bother driving the fork into it as I was spreading it. I just used a plastic fork in order to put it up there. And because I wasn't sure if it was going to actually look halfway decent or not, which I wish I would have done the whole layout that way, especially being in the shale and slate and stuff like that. I mean, it would have helped out tremendously.
Well, did you carve this area between the two tracks down at the bottom, or is that sculpted or something? Yeah, because it has a texture to it.
Yeah, that's one of them that I actually have been playing with the wire brush and a couple of the dental picks.
Yeah, man, I'm really liking what's going on. I like what you're painting too, but that section between the rails, that looks like it has a really nice texture to it.
Well, that's so I haven't got to this one yet. I guess I can now. See how bad it absorbs it. Hopefully it doesn't turn out super dark.
Latex don't seem to absorb as bad as my first coat on mine was India ink and alcohol, and it sopped it up. I mean, it's
just nice to see something other than Plywood City here. I got tired of looking at it. That's why I painted it, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, we need to form some hills and crests and stuff like that.
You've heard me say it's one of the reasons I like ground goop so well is because it's brown immediately, so you're immediately getting something that looks closer to dirt or scenery than plywood or white.
Yeah, real fast, Andy. Phil Wyman said thank you for the compliment.
Oh, he's a genuine artist. Actually, his work he's done here lately with that little farm seed and his corn crops, etc. That's really look good. But for a lot of us that I'm an engineer at heart, so I could lay track with good geometry. I could figure out some crazy wiring, but the art is a struggle for me.
Yeah. Dave Ralph is asking, is your base plaster of plaster, skeletal mold, or polyfill?
You talking about the plaster itself?
Yeah.
Just local drywall plaster from Lowe's. Big bag of it for like, I think I paid $3 for that thing. I mean, it was
Plaster
dirt cheap.
Paris. Is it plaster of Paris?
No.
No, it's regular drywall.
Oh,
Plaster.
drywall compound. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, fast set drywall form. That's our form. I was being cheap on the last layout when I needed it. So that's what I was afraid of.
Now, you have spots that are like that, man. Some spots are quite yellow on prototype rocks in the southeast. So,
Yeah, it's just a little bit too much for me.
well, something I found about latex is mine did not look good my first run at dry brushing. I thought I've just destroyed what didn't look good. I've made it look worse. But the more coats of various colors of dry brushing I put on it, the better it started looking. And those rocks I showed you earlier, and they don't look good. That's why I think I would have bought the Bragdon stuff. But it still got better the more coats I put. So.
Well, that's what I figured with this. You know, the wetter it is, you know, of course it ain't gonna stick that well. So I just wanted to get some sort of a variation to get an idea. And I still haven't even hit it with the black wash yet. So.
Well, not to mention, depending on where you're modeling, if it's anything like the area I'm modeling, all the rock is so heavily camouflaged by the greenery. So there's not a lot of rocks that are just right out. You know, there's a few cuts that are kind of exposed, but they still have green growing on them too because they're old. So,
right.
My rocks were like a heavy, like a darker black rock. Depending on the railroad, I'm modeling 2 different railroads. They're about a mile apart, though. The rocks are a little different between the two, kinda.
that's how high up they are. You know, sedimentary. There's a big variety even in a given area. Like many people say, you know, if you're modeling a certain area, trying to capture that flavor, you gotta work from photos. But
yeah, that's what I did. I went out and took a bunch of pictures, the actual rocks I was modeling.
that's what I do. But Dave's trying to Dave can do about whatever he wants because of, you know, he's trying to capture just a general flavor of us. You know, it's not a specific area. He's got a lot more freedom than, you know, some of us that are trying to capture a particular railroad that's a little more exacting. But freedom can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. I mean, this is just a freelance railroad. It's nothing, you know, exact. So, unlike the steel mill where, I was trying to get it exact.
Well, there's a fun in both ways. You know, there's a lot of freelance, you know, more people who lean more on the freelance, you know, versus prototypical. If you're trying to capture a, you know, the New Haven's particular line or the PRR's, you know, seashore line or something, you really need to work for photos. But if you're just trying to capture a certain area, you know, there's a reason why you love the area. You have an idea of what you want it to look like, and you can lay back, slap paint on until it gets there.
And I'm about ready to lay back, drop this in the spray bottle, and let it get there.
Well, that's how a lot of people do. You see, well, that's how Lex Parker does it. He sprays almost red paint because he's bought in Colorado, so almost red paint straight on it, really, really thin and blue. So, and I bought some tempera paints, so that dry powdered paint pigment I want to experiment with, where you basically brush it all on and then take a wet sponge and wipe it off.
Right.
Kind of a weird effect. It's kind of a weird process.
Yeah, I just have to keep playing with this and let it dry up for a day, and then come back in and touch it up a little bit. See if I can darken it up just a little bit more.
And
every time you touch it, it's gonna get darker and darker. Howdy, Marty.
Hey, Marty.
Hey.
What's up, Marty?
Good evening, everyone. Hi, What's better? What's better if I push that? Or,
Hey, if you guys are also wondering, when I was doing the rocks pictures, I didn't go out there when the train was running in the trenches, or even went in the trenches. And my railroads went through a bunch of cuts.
And to all of our first time
Hey.
viewers.
Well, I tell you what I'm
Marty's
going to
upside
do.
down.
I'm going to switch over here to Hogs because he's showing, looks like a new build in here.
Though, hey,
Oh.
Marty's upside down.
Yeah, he knows that.
He's
He's in
in
Australia.
He's from upside down.
He's in Australia. Of course, he's upside down.
Yeah.
I'll put the North
I just
American
wanna-
filter on.
You
Just
still
pointing
there?
that out.
You still there, Hawks?
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, it's my machine shop. Do you see the windows?
Yeah, I see those. I'm looking at them.
Doesn't
You want to tell people what was going on? Yeah.
Yeah, I had finished painting my walls, weathering my walls. Everything was done, so I started assembling, and that's when I realized that I forgot to put the windows inside the building. So Johnny gave me the idea that I could just put bricks, like the windows were replaced by bricks. So it looks pretty good.
And why couldn't you put the glass back up in the windows?
Oh, it's because I put a floor which is halfway, and the roof was done, so there was no access to putting the windows in. As for the others, there was no problem. Like this roof here is not installed yet because I'm waiting for tools to come in, so I could furnish the inside of my building.
Use
Just
brick
one-
paper.
No, I didn't use the brick paper. I used. I had another building, so I just took part of the wall.
Chopped it
Cut out the little pieces because the brick paper was equivalent to 2 rows of bricks. 1 row of paper was 2 rows of styrene.
Wow.
So
It's that
I wanted-
oversized.
yeah, I wanted to keep the same size, so I was able to find a different color. It turned out pretty good. Then of course I've installed my lights. I've got my doors that are open so that we'll be able to see inside. What I want to put inside is 2 welding, 2 welders, and with Arduino, get the lights to look like welding lights.
Absolutely.
I got just a suggestion. I would not glue that roof in because then, if you need to get access inside that building, you can always take off the roof.
That's a long roof. I tried putting it in, but
Warping.
the walls warp a bit, so I'll have to glue it in. There's not much that I have to go into.
I know.
What I did is, because there's so many wires and I don't want people to see the wires because there's going to be lights inside. I don't know if you could see, there's like a second floor, but just against the window. And that's where all my wires are going to be. And I'll be hiding the windows. They're going to be darkening so you won't be able to see the wires. So there's like a, here, let me take this one.
Didn't Dave Pop or Walters
So
have that built like just like that building on their layout or something? Walters had a kit like that, or Dave Pop actually had one on his layout, on his old layout, the
Right.
New Haven branch.
Turn your mic
Oh,
up, Josh.
I wouldn't know. Anyway, that's my build that out of scratch styrene.
You want me to repeat that, or did you guys hear that?
No, we heard it. It was just real loud.
I wouldn't know. And I don't know if you notice my roof here. It's gray. It's got that fine ballast to look like the roof was done.
Yeah,
with,
like a tar and gravel roof.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you did the warehouse where you painted it black and then adhered the ballast on top of it. So
Yeah, I put like masking tape and overlapped it by a half, painted it all black, and then dusted a bit of very fine ballast on top. Yeah.
works. Looks just like it's supposed to. That's good looking structure.
Yeah, thanks. It's gonna be fun with all the lights.
But all the
Yeah.
tools inside that, all the various white metal details, the 3D printed details that you could get that are out there, that really brings a structure like that to life, is having that working, that interior that looks like it's a working business.
Exactly. Well, especially the views are gonna be at that door. So basically, like I just want that welding light to be able to show in. From here, you'll be able to see just the inside because the train or the freight car is going to be just in a bit. Yeah, so
Is that rock work in the background? Is that those Silatex tiles?
we're here.
Yeah, back behind that. Yeah, that area.
Yeah, those are tiles, ceiling
Yeah.
tiles that I've put in. Yeah.
I did that too in one area of my layout. I used those Silatex tiles. It works. It's a working thing.
Yeah. What I did though is I passed a fork just to make the grooves a little bit deeper.
Sure. Yep. I did too. I used something. I think I used a wire brush on it, like Dave's using on his, and then painted it with Mod Podge and then some acrylic paint. Looks good. Yours looks good.
I didn't put Mod Podge. I just sprayed enamel paint so that it wouldn't be porous.
Yep.
And then I used acrylic paint, different colors of acrylic paint. Yeah.
But latex paint does the same job as the Mod Podge. You just have to get something to seal it up.
hmm I've also been working on here. That's my gorge that I'm working on.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm at the play. What I got to do next is do the plaster work, and I just have to make sure the legs of the trestle is going to be at the right places.
Are you going to use plaster cloth or something to cover over?
Yeah, plaster cloth, and then I'm going to finish it with just plaster.
Sure.
Now, if I can just finish my wiring,
Yeah.
which is I am almost done. All my tracks are wired; they're soldered. I just have to put in my jumpers and connect them to the main bus, and then I should be done by this weekend.
Boy, you've been busy.
So
Oh,
we
yeah.
might be able to see a train running next week, huh?
I hope so. I've got all my tortoises installed. Then I got to do another panel for these tortoises. I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 tortoises just on that part of the layout.
Uh-huh.
It's mainly here.
Yeah, still off screen.
Andy, when I was asking you about the paint, this is the part I want to paint as soon as possible. Paint the tracks.
Oh yeah, you'd have to break. Yeah, this whole area. That whatever those, like we were talking about earlier with that Rust-Oleum paint. That's just a bunch of people are doing it that way. I just stole it from other people. But it seems to work good for a lot of people, and it's what I've seen Mike Conflow and a whole lot of other people do, is just spray bomb it and come back and paint a few other random ties.
Yeah. Word of advice there, Lloyd. Get you some thin cardboard or something to hold up against your rock forms so you don't get overspray on them.
Oh yeah, I've got this huge plastic sheet that
Yeah.
I'm gonna be putting on top. Yeah. No, I don't want to do this twice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once this part is done, I'll be able to run my trains from my staging area up here and into the yard. That's gonna be some running.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you still got to get the tracks back in what was your wife's office on the main layout deck. You still got to get those tracks built.
Oh yeah. I just have to go and pick up some wood. It's just that the temperature hasn't been great.
Well, yeah.
And
Really? Well, we're getting a suntan down here.
Well, we had one day of it, but it's still Canada. You know, it's.
Oh, today wasn't bad. It was it 7 degrees? So 7, blah blah blah. It's about it's what 50, 45, 50. So,
Yeah. I'll take that.
I was out today and actually saw some convertibles with their tops down because I even had the window down on the truck. It was that warm.
Well, here today, up in here in Queensland, where it's, I'm looking at the outside, the temperature, and it's 104 degrees and 91% humidity.
Oh my God, I would love that.
You can have it.
I like it hot, but this cold weather, this is model railroading weather. You know, this makes you get motivated, and you get all this work done, like Hawks has. Look what the cold weather does for you. Keep you inside, keep you building railroad. And he's going to be running trains in a few days.
I gotta say the fact that I'm into the wiring and I don't mind right now, so I might as well just go with it because I know I'll be fed up very soon.
Absolutely. But if you'll get the main layout wired, then you can start having, fun with the Arduino stuff like what Chris is doing. And, it'll be the fun part and you'll be running trades. So that makes it all worth it.
I've got little things like I was showing you that fence I did. I'm anxious to get into that Arduino stuff.
Oh, that fence looked awesome. I know you were complaining about it, and I realized that it's not perfect, and I'm a perfectionist too, and I'd probably build it over too, just because I'm a perfectionist. But what you've done looks really, really good. So.
Oh, you guys talking about the Arduino, and Hawks is talking about a fence. That'll be interesting. Stick an electric fence up on your layout so somebody tries to reach over, touch something.
You see the fence, Johnny?
That sounds like what I would do to mine because I don't like people touching the layout.
Yeah. Oh,
Can you see the fence?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just giving you a heads up. I wasn't supposed to tell, but a few people already know. That's going to be a fence that's going to go on the tracks. That's going to be like a fence on what do you call it?
It'd be like an entry fence.
An entry fence that's going to be on rollers. That's going to slide.
The gate.
Yeah, it's going to be a gate that's going to slide left and right. So I'm just going to show you my little model here. I don't know if you can see it.
Lower it down. Go down towards the layout a little bit.
Okay, I'm just going to put it here.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the fence, you got a track here, and the fence is here. You've got this little bonhomme that's going to come out of a shed. Okay, he's going to come. Whoops! He's going to come towards a box. Once he gets to the box, the fence is going to move sideways, and then he's going to go towards the train that backed up. And I'm just going to make sure that it's going to fit between the locomotive and, let's say, a boxcar, so that it looks like he's unhooking the car.
Oh, okay.
And all this is going to be done with Arduino.
Arduino and servos.
And servos, yeah. So I'm anxious to learn about it.
Yeah, that'll be pretty neat having that on there. How you doing, Bob? Ralph?
Hey, Ralph.
Howdy. Doing okay.
And yes, Ralph, from your comments in the chat, zip texturing. That was what I couldn't remember a second ago. That Joe Fugate, a whole lot of people used to use it back years ago. I really like. I think zip texturing is still a pretty decent method.
It's tempera paints, which basically is watercolor powder.
Yep.
You just sprinkle it on, and then with a sprayer, and let the water take it wherever.
Yep, and a lot of the guys were doing like Joe Fugate does that zip texturing, which he makes a base somewhat like I do with Cigarette Goop, but his has Portland cement in it. But which is kind of the way I do my ballast actually. But he uses plaster and colored pigment together and dusts it on the way I did dirt a few minutes ago. It gets it allows you to have a colored plaster base, but it looks textured. It looks particulate like dirt. So
Yeah, but first, let me just to clear my mind. When you say plaster, what are we talking about? Drywall mud?
I'm plaster of Paris or hydrocal, although
Okay.
the most recent stuff that I purchased in kits was in dental plaster. So like I'm gonna cast my own,
hydrocal.
but I really I like hydrocal.
Well, that's what the dental plaster is.
Yeah, now the dental plasters has like porcelain, I think, powdered porcelain in it too to increase the hardness. It's got an extra component to the hydrocal,
It
and
helps
it is
keep the detail.
unbelievably hard.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna cast my own piers since I can't find piers that have a water breakaway on only one side in a plaster like my prototype had. So I'm gonna cast my own piers, but I'm gonna do it in dental plaster.
Plaster is made from lime. Hydrocal is made from calcium.
Yeah, made from
And which plaster of Paris?
version. Made from kaolite. Kaolite, sorry.
Which plaster of Paris? Because it's not lime.
It's French lime.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
I think plaster of Paris is a couple things. There's a harder stuff in it, but it's got a kaolin in it, which is the base ingredient in chalk and a base ingredient in drywall. And I think that it has, actually, I'm going to go look this up while we're talking about it, but I believe it has some kaolin in it.
Chalk is lime.
Okay. The thing with plaster or drywall mud, if you want to call it that, which is done from lime, if you wet it too much, you can actually dissolve it. When you use plaster of Paris or hydrocal, you can actually take your cured mold or cured casting and drop it in a bucket of water. It'll absorb the water, but it will not change the detail. And that's one of the ways you keep your color on the surface, by soaking the plaster. So
Yep.
when you paint it with your acrylics or whatever color you're using, like Dave was doing there on his there, the color stays on the surface. It doesn't soak right in because it's already soaked solid with water.
There's three main kinds of plaster. There's gypsum plaster, which is what we all use. Plaster of Paris is a gypsum plaster. Hydrocal is made from a gypsum plaster. There's lime plaster, which is a limestone or calcium carbonate, used as a overcover and for the old plaster you used to have on walls that were put over a lathing of wood was normally a lime plaster from a limestone, but normal gypsum plaster is used on drywall these days. And there's a cement plaster, which is a combination of gypsum plaster sometimes with Portland cement or the lighter component of Portland cement. So there's a bunch to it, and the people who are doing 3D printing, which that's fascinating for me to read about, as we've talked about 3D printing a lot. The guys who are 3D printing with plaster are using gypsum for that, just like what we do, but they're pushing it through basically an inkjet head of the same as what you have on an inkjet printer. It's fascinating.
no
Oh, Ralph,
Yes.
I did find that sheet of styrene.
Yep.
0.040, 4x8, $19.
Perfect.
A single sheet of 4x8 that you could order online. Is that what you're talking about?
No, this one I got to pick up. I got to drive an hour to go and pick it up.
Well, I found a guy on eBay because I'm doing my fascias. Part of the reason I just prepainted the styrofoam black for right now is one, I want a good surface to put my styrene to, but I'm going to use 4x8 sheets. You buy it, they ship it to you. It's on eBay, whatever for shipping. And it's 4x8 sheets of styrene, but it's rolled up and shipped to you in a box as a roll, 4-foot long roll. But 4x8 sheets of it, you can buy like 6 sheets for 30, 40, 50 bucks, something. It's, quite reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
One caveat, Andy, when you receive it,
Yep.
lay it out flat. Get it out of that roll, otherwise it'll maintain that curve.
Absolutely. What I was thinking I would do is throw a piece of plywood down at the garage at the office and lay them all out on that, and then I've got a radi heater so I can get that room nice and warm. Get that styrene nice and toasty, and lay some blocks on it and let it sit for a few days and kind of do its business.
If you don't need the 4x8, you could cut them in 2x4s and just pile them up.
Yep.
That's what I'm going to do when I get my sheets. Because it's pretty hard to cut a piece of, let's say 3 inches by 5 inches out of a 4x8.
No, if you're doing it for structure modeling, you definitely want to put that in a smaller material. But I want to do these fascias along the layout, so I do want 8-foot strips, but very few places would be more than a foot, so I could surely cut it into 1-foot strips and store that.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna do my fascia with styrene and at the backdrop with pre-painted rolled aluminum flashing.
No, definitely. If I lived in the States, I would be. There's a lot of places where I would order it, but having to cross the border and the exchange rate became so crazy. That's what I was looking for. Where this one guy was charging me $350 for shipping.
Exchange rate went up 3 cents today, Lloyd.
Yeah, it's going back up. Yeah, no, it's getting better because it was down to 74 cents. Now it's back up to 76.
Yeah, I always thought we had to order. I ordered plenty of stuff from German manufacturers, from Knock and Pollack, and some of these people that Scenic Express carries some of the products, but not all. And I always thought we had to, there's so many products made outside of the States that I thought, well, everything we get's made in China or something. So we, you're paying all that duty to get all of those products here. But after getting all, being in this community and seeing what you guys up in Canada are having to pay as an extra, what the guys down in Australia are having to pay, which is unbelievably, you think yours is bad. Those fellas are, really paying some drastic rates. I think, we've got good access in the States.
Yeah.
Like I'm personally trying to get a hold of Gator board.
Yes, good
Gator
stuff.
board is like a foam core, but instead of having paper on the outside, it has the wood fiber.
Oh, I thought it was styrene on the outside.
No, it's masonite fiber.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And it comes in 1/4 and 1/2 inch thicknesses.
Yep.
And up here for a 4x8 sheet, I can't buy 1 sheet. I have to buy, I think there's 3 in a pack, the way it's bundled, and it's going to cost me $130 a sheet.
Wow.
And down there, it's like $30 a sheet.
That's what I was going to say, $30 a sheet, and I could have it shipped to a location here because they don't stock it. Shipped to a location, ship to store for free. So $30.
So there's
I was thinking about building a top deck
to the material. So
what happened to free trade? Hey, Ralph?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
That's not great.
I think Bill Clinton got rid of that.
I think he started it, but it's obviously not working correctly for you fellas. We're sorry about that. What you got to do is just got to get you an American buddy that lives right across the border.
Well, I got 2 brothers. I got one that's in Texas and one that's in Massachusetts. But yeah, I could get it to them, but then they have to get it to me.
You still have to pay the duty across the border.
Oh,
yeah, unless you drive through and hide it, but still.
Well, 4x8 sheet. How you gonna?
Exactly.
Even a 2x4 sheet is not.
Suction cups up under the car.
Uh-huh.
Under,
No, that's going to be difficult. But I just listened to the Kathy Millen on a podcast. I was listening to it today on the road, and she was talking about how everybody in the UK who comes to the States travels with just what laundry they just flat have to have or what they want to throw away with empty bags, and they load up and go back to the UK every time they come, so that they don't have to pay.
let me tell you. I was going to tell you a funny story. I used to play golf at Myrtle Beach, and I used to go down twice a year. And one year I decided to take my mother down with us. So there was my wife, my mother, and myself. So the car is pretty much empty besides like three small golf bags and like 2 small suitcases. Anyway, we came back. My mother's sitting in the back of the car. Her shoulders are against the door, and the other shoulder is against a bunch of boxes. And my wife, under her feet, it's full of boxes. The trunk is full. So I told my wife, I said, you know what? I'm not driving through the border. I cannot say, oh yeah, we just bought for, I think at that time it was $350. I said, there's no way I could say we spent only $350. I mean, they're going to see that the car is full. So, so we get out, we go again shopping, and my wife tore ligaments in her foot, so she couldn't drive. So I was stuck driving through the border, and the guy said, you bringing anything? I looked at him, I go, yeah, about $350. He goes, okay, good night. But it must have been at least $1,500 of stuff. And it was all, by the way, it was all Christmas stuff.
Lloyd, you're being recorded, so be careful now.
That's right.
It's okay. It's past the
Statute of limitations.
seven. That's it. It's a little bit more than 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I tried your graphite trick, Ralph. I got to give you credit for it, brother. That is that is an exceptional technique.
Which one was that?
Your pencil trick.
The truck?
Yeah, all I've done is these are the best looking trucks I've weathered. I've just been weathering trucks all on their own, and the camera just flat doesn't do them any justice. It really don't. But
Never does.
no, none of this stuff. But you get into these, meticulous things. But you can see that sheet on the top edge of the plate above the sprigs, then above the top edge where I took graphite, and I took the stick of graphite and rubbed. And what I did is I took a blade and scratched it a little bit and then wiped it off just so I could soften the graphite up a little bit, because it was, even the soft graphite stick was a little too hard to really put much on there, it seemed like. And then I took that stick and rubbed it over the edge, and then rubbed it in with my finger, and it is a heck of an effect. It has that nice reflective quality.
I'll see if I can find that picture, and it'll show it a little bit better.
Yeah, because this doesn't. I need to take some pictures of it probably, but this just doesn't do it justice. But that's I spray bombed them with that camouflage paint, like I'm talking about doing your track with.
Rust-Oleum, yeah.
Yeah, spray bombed them with that, and then took oil, rust, a wash of a wash of rust paint and turp, and floated into the areas where I expected rust to be. And then after all that's set up, I come in and used a little bit of dry pigment on them, just under the leaf spring or under the springs, on the side supports where I wanted some textured rust there. And then I darkened up the journal covers with some of the darker rust from the AIM powders or AIM powders. Light mist the dull coat, and then come over it with that graphite, which the graphite is what set it off. It was a good set of techniques anyway, but the graphite is
the final touch is and I always feel the same way. Every time I put the graphite on, I figure, wow.
Yeah. That's what he did for me too. I was like I was like, these look pretty good. I was really happy with them. They were better than what I'd done before. And some of those techniques we had all talked about, and some of those were from recent Model Hobbyist article from Michael Gross had an article recently, and quick ways to weather. And I wanted to knock out a bunch of trucks and heard I think it was his, but anyway, somebody doing weathering.
There's a picture that I've blown up, and you can see the graphite on the top edge of the main frame.
Yeah, man. It looks so incredible, and it looks good in that picture, but in person, it is such a striking effect.
You just put it on the top of the bolster only, not on the rest of the truck?
No, just on the edge.
Just on the edge.
Yep.
Okay.
You've got all your rusting going for you, and then you put this little bit of graphite on the leading edge where it goes from vertical to horizontal.
Yep.
And then you just rub it with your finger, and it sort of blends it back a little bit further, and Bob's your uncle.
Absolutely. And it is
Right, Bob?
Yep, Bob or whoever your uncle is, Doug. It is an extremely convincing effect because it plays with the light. It's such a good effect.
And there's another little thing you can do on your truck. If that's a truck for a rail car, right?
It is. What is that?
Okay, but on the locomotive truck, you can put the bearing brackets. You can paint them as if they were new. Total different effect again. You add a little bit of blue to the edge of the bearing,
Sure.
and that's exactly what they do.
Huh. I don't have a lot of diesels on my layout, but I'm going to have a few, but not a lot, but there'll be a few.
Now, on your rail car truck, does it have the journal boxes, or is it open bearings?
These I've got. Okay, so I did 4 trucks, 2 that are open spinning journals, and 2 that have journal enclosures over them.
Okay, so like I can show you because it's right here on the screen. Right where the bearing is, you can either use a clear varnish, or you can use that Future Floor Wax.
Yeah, and I've got some Vallejo clear varnish.
Well, you can put it on top of the bearing to make it look wet.
Wow.
Ralph,
Yes.
did you get my 25 locomotives so that you can start weathering?
Not yet.
That would be a great effect. I've got that. That will be awesome. Awesome. I got to do that.
So if it's a journal box that has the slope on it, you put it
Yep.
on the bottom side of it, or the bottom edge where oil and grease with heat would start to run down.
Sure, it has a little pan under there.
Right.
Yep. And then right over top of the spinning journals, they coat all the way around those because the grease kind of slops out of there.
Yep. And all you need is like a little drop on a toothpick or even a fine brush, and just dab it on and let it be. Let it find its own way.
Yeah, like that's what's so great about. I mean, chopsticks have been the best trick in the world for working with these things. On is they fit right down in the.
But if you
Right down
use
at the
chalk
bowl.
on that, if you use chalk, you got to seal it either with dull coat or a matte material, a matte acrylic, and then come back with your gloss.
Okay, well, see, so this one is all sealed up except for the graphite. I did not seal the graphite. I don't think I need to seal the graphite.
No, but if you don't seal your paint work or your chalk work,
I did do that.
fall off.
Yep. Well, I did. I sealed everything. It had a dull coat. After the oil, after the, I used a little bit of powder, started at a couple spots, and I just lightly dull coated it. And
That's all it takes, a light coating.
Yep. And then the graphite went right over top of that. But I could do that. I could wet that up with that Vallejo, and then and that would darken it up too, because there's a little bit of powder on there that so that gloss is going to hit that powder and a little bit, and then I could That's all. Just, I mean, it's already over top of a dual coat, so that works for me. It was a good trick, though, brother. It works. It's a couple things. It's a couple steps. It doesn't. It seems like it takes a long time because there's a lot of steps, but it takes like a few seconds, and then you set them off to the side. The next day, it's a few more seconds, and before long, you got a bunch knocked out. So I'm going to try to break down, maybe a dozen cars or so, and set up about 24, trucks on chopsticks, and start working them.
I forget the name of the company now. But I got these things. Let me see if I can get my camera.
And I started working with some oil on this car.
Can you see this?
Yeah, hang
Is
on.
that like a 3-in-1 block? Oh yeah, that wheel set. Yep.
The ends come off. You
It's
pull it
from
up.
American Model Builders.
Now you can put your wheels in between. Put it back together again. It holds the wheels in place while you paint the faces.
Yep. I was thinking about, and it lets you keep the treads clean because I always have to come back with a toothpick and mineral spirits to clean the treads.
No, this
But I would.
This comes in 33 and 36-inch diameter.
Yep. But I was thinking I could make that.
Oh, have fun with doing the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Well, what I was thinking I'd do is just cut me 2 pieces of styrene.
company.
I was thinking about taking 2 pieces of styrene, stack them on top of each other, punch them, and then pop a drill down through both of them at the same time, and then clean them up with a file. But, I mean, what's it cost to buy one of those jigs?
I think it was.
About $10-15.
I think it was less than that.
Yeah.
Okay, well then never mind. That's stupid to do it yourself if it costs $2.
For that amount of money, it's not worth the effort to do it all.
And this is that streak. This looks horrible on camera. I'm not showing that.
So, really
Back
quick,
here.
10 minutes.
This is oil from back here. It looks horrible on camera. It actually looks pretty good in person, and this is just a disposable car basically because I bought it. It doesn't have separate grabs.
The reason why it doesn't look good on camera, it's a boxcar red car.
Right, and I have not got that green paint yet. So
The two cars, or the two colors that are the hardest to weather, are the boxcar red and black.
and that's everything I have pretty much. I mean, if I have 200 cars on my layout, 190 of them will be boxcar red or black. And this is disposable because I bought it. And then after I got it, I realized they didn't have separate grab irons, and I'm kind of a stickler for separate grabs. But I put oil along the top edge at certain spots and then let it set for just a second. They've pulled it with turp, or mineral spirits actually. Anyway, and then use some turp washes on it and everything, and it's all oil paint.
February
You didn't fade it first, though, did you?
2016.
No, I mean it's a disposable car, so I just wanted to play with it. I put a dual coat on it, and then I washed it with a dilute oil mixture, just to darken it up. It's a pretty thin wash of black oil, and that darkened it up a little bit. And like I said, it's disposable, and I wanted to play with some of these oil techniques. I did order a color wheel from Amazon. I think I haven't got it, but I ordered one.
You could have downloaded it from the internet for free.
Well, they got yeah, sure, but it was like $2. I mean, so whatever.
Hey, Ralph.
Yep.
John here asked, who made that wheel mask that you just held up?
I'm going to have to find out. I can't remember who it was now.
I think it's American Model Builders.
You may be right. That sounds familiar.
I think that's who it is. They're one of my favorite companies in general. I think that's who it is.
Check Google on the interweb machine here.
Yeah, I think, he's also put another comment. He bought those clear acrylic wheel holders, and they need assembly with acrylic bonding cement, which was a pain.
Yeah, epoxy. Or contact cement, probably.
Yeah. Michael H. Just said American Model Builders has a mask for around $10.
Yeah, I was pretty sure that's who it was. I'd looked at it before, but I thought it was more expensive, and I was like, I mean, it's a piece of a for sale sign. It's some rubber bands, but if it costs you a lot of time, then it's not worth it.
No, the one from American Model Builders, that's not the ones you want. Because if you don't get the right size, the acrylic material or whatever the material is that they use to that they laser cut this plastic from, it just shreds, and eventually it becomes useless because it won't hold any wheels.
Yeah, this one's different from American Model Builders. It's kind of a springy kind of contraption.
Yep. I bought those first, and I managed to get it to stick with Ambroid Pro Weld.
Yeah.
And everything was fine until I went to try and fit the wheels in. My wheels were a little bit too big because they have different ones for Katie wheels, Intermountain wheels,
Oh gosh.
and Walters Proto wheels.
Are
And every
Walters
one of them is slightly different.
Proto wheels the Proto 88 semi scales?
Well, the Proto they call 30, Walters Proto Lifelike, I guess, Proto.
Yeah.
The 2000 is, you get them in 33 and 36. If you're fine with that, and you know what wheels you're putting in there, because eventually you're going to get to a point where you can't get the wheels to fit.
Yes.
Find a wheel that just doesn't fit, and when you try and force it in, it breaks the circle that holds it.
Of course. Which I'm replacing all of my wheel sets with. I initially tried Proto 87 wheel sets, but I have recently ordered some more Proto 87 wheel sets because I'd like to use the prototype flange and whatever prototype scale wheels, but they're really hard to do unless you have equalized trucks or sprung trucks, because minor imperfections in your track work cause derailments with those non RP25 wheel sets like Proto 87. So I was thinking about using what they call Proto 88 or Code 88 wheel sets, because RP25 from the NMRA is a Code 110 wheel set.
Yeah, also Michael said, let's see, where is it at now? I got a few people posted stuff. Mahler's Choice has one more like the one shown.
Modeler's Choice, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, modeler's choice. With 8 wheel sets at a time.
That looks like that sounds like what Ralph's got. That his does.
Yeah, 33s and 36s. They're $6 a piece.
They have one for $6 a piece, so that's a no-brainer to buy. That is the one he's got, except it's in white. It looks like. How about what would you do for 28s? Just clean for the few 28s you have. Just clean the flanges. I take it.
For 28, I would try and make my own and use a Forstner bit to try and drill through.
Yeah. I got one of those. I just don't know if it goes down that small. My Forstner, I'm not sure. I have to.
Well, you have to get one close and maybe file it in.
Yes. Which I don't have a lot of 28s anyway. There's a few wood cabooses or caboose or whatever, however you want to say that, on my line that would still be on 28-inch wheels. But that's a very few. I could, weather those and clean the flanges with mineral spirits or something. So what do you do? How do you weather the wheel faces? You still use the same oil techniques that?
I know. I clean them with a Q-tip and alcohol.
Yep.
So you get any oils or any whatever's on the face. And then I use Vallejo paints, burnt umber. And a little bit of, I take and I paint it on with a brush.
Yep.
And then I take a sponge and add a little bit of a brighter rust around the outside edge.
Oh yeah, that would be good.
That's all you need.
The best effect I got so far was by cleaning it, painting it, and taking a brush, my weathering brush, sticking it into the rust pigment, the AIM pigments or one of those, and just tapping the brush above it so that it dusted the powder onto that. to give it that texture and to give it those spots of the brighter rust. I like that effect pretty good too, because it sticks into that wet paint. And it seems like, I know me and you have had this conversation a few times, Ralph, but it seems like the AIM powders hold up to the dual coat process better than anything else I've used from any of the other powders.
Yeah, I got a question here from Phil Wyman. What runs a wheel size 33 and 36?
Freight car 33, passenger 36. For the most part, or High Speed Express has 36s.
And now you're getting 36 on the new open bearing trucks. They're larger wheels.
On modern stuff?
The modern stuff.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Now, in any era, 80s and back probably, or 90s and back probably, is passengers were 36, freight 33. Cabooses, it's not uncommon to see 36s on cabooses too.
Right.
But it depends on your prototype.
Hey, Andy.
Sure.
Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine has an article in, you can get it online, do-it-yourself wheel painting mask, how to make one. So if you're doing 20 each.
Okay, I'm all over that. I am a Model Railroad Hobbyist loyalist. I've been reading them for all 8 years they've been around. They are my de facto. They're just great. They're just really good.
Yeah, do-it-yourself wheel painting mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, John said he found the mask Mahler's Choice. He found they're $6 each for, I guess, 33s and 36s. Yeah.
Yeah, I found those too. I'm definitely going to buy those. It's not worth making for $6. So I'm going to buy a 33 and a 36.
Yeah, and he also put up here that six-wheel passenger trucks are 36 and four-wheel passenger trucks are 33s.
Absolutely. I should have mentioned that, and I know that by heavyweights. My heavyweights that are six-wheel are, well, it depends on the prototype because they did some things differently from place to place. But on the Norfolk and Western, the six-wheel trucks on the heavyweights are definitely 36s. A lot of the lightweights were 36s too, though, because Point and Arrow on the Norfolk and Western line run 90 mile an hour back years ago, 90 mile an hour plus. So, but I'm sure there's some lightweights with 33s on them.
So how'd the rock come out there, Dave, so far?
It ain't torn out yet.
No, sorry about that. What now?
So how's your rocks coming out? Well, looking pretty good.
Yeah, boy, Time done a good job too. That track work between those two tracks, that rock work between the two tracks, that really shaped up.
I've got a retaining wall, wood retaining wall. I'm going to put here all the way down. So that's going to be the only section of rock right here, just with that.
Is it going to be like ties, like cribbing they call it, or is it going to be like pole constructed?
Basically like pole constructed, 22-foot lengths. No, 6 times. I'm trying to convert it over in my head. I think it's like 20-foot lengths. They'll run vertically, and then in between the layers, I'll have them where they'll be faced. The poles will stick out in between the levels coming out. And I'll fill it in with like dirt or rock or whatever in there.
Andy,
Pretty
the other thing I've done for painting my wheels, you put it between your thumb and your index finger, and you just spin it and hold the brush steady. And it's not a large face of the wheel that you have to do too much to.
For sure, yeah.
And if you want to paint the backs and the axle, that's you can do that too after the face is dry.
Oh, for extra credit or something? Yeah, sure. I think I'll probably paint the backs. I've done pretty much what you just said. That's what I've already done. I don't know, a couple dozen cars where I've already painted the surface, and I painted them with an acrylic and then dusted them with that powder or whatever. But I did get it on the on the wheel tread a little bit, but I just come back with a Q-tip and the nitrous alcohol or something, cleaned up a little bit. And then the point, of course, that goes into the truck, I made sure I wanted that really clean because I really care about, I do weight my car's quite heavy, but I want them to be very free rolling.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's jump over here to Australia.
That's more than a jump, Johnny.
You got to turn upside down for that.
That's right.
Hop, skip, and jump.
There's a question that comes up now. If you had water in the sink and you pull the plug, it's going to go clockwise, right? Does it go counterclockwise when you go to Australia?
It goes the same way. That's a really awesome myth, though, but it does go the same way regardless.
So what you been up to, Marty?
Not much. Well, I've off for the weekend. It's Friday afternoon over here.
Whoa. we have got a chipmunk audio coming from you really bad.
Chipmunks have taken Martin hostage.
I thought it was the helium.
Well, you didn't have to leave, Martin.
Is that better?
Yes.
Much.
Yeah, it's 3:03 in the afternoon over here, and I've just put some wheels on that Volkswagen that I put lights in the other day. So, hang on, I'll get the camera and bring it down a bit closer.
What kind of lights, Marty?
0402 LEDs. Down there. So yeah, it's got.
Move it back a little bit towards the mouse. Move your hand toward. Yeah, there you go, right there.
Yeah. So I was just fitting some wheels. These are casts that I've made. So I got tail lights there. I can even fire them up.
I was lazy. I bought them from China. They came with lights already.
Well, I'm about to start on a cattle truck, and it's got, what do we work out, 82 LEDs in it, in the trailer and the, so.
Yeah, you need to check with Ron down there. He's good with them cattle trucks, putting lights on those. He might be able to give you a thing or two about that.
Yeah, we've already been talking about the different kits and bits and pieces. But, so
there you go, right there.
There's the headlights.
Yep.
And the tail lights.
You know now that Woodland Scenics makes all these things now with the lights built in. So you don't have to do all the work.
Yeah, but the problem is in Australia they charge around about $50 to $60 for a Woodland Scenics vehicle.
Okay.
With lights.
That explains it.
What I do is I buy I've got a Volvo here. I'm just about to start. So that's a Burkina model.
Yeah.
So strip her out, fill it full of plasticine or Play-Doh, and then I make a cast of the body. And then I've got a mold then, and then I can make as many as I want. So one model, 150, because one of these is probably about $30 or $40 here.
Yep.
So one of those, and if I want to make 20 of them, well, it's not going to cost me, that much. Just time. I'm just getting the.
It's yours, money or time.
Oh, I've got plenty of time, but I've only got limited money. Oh, my little castings box.
That'd be a how you made your own cars would be a good topic. With there's a Facebook group called out there on Facebook called Budget Model Railroading, and that's a really good group. And that's pretty much what we talk about is stuff to keep the hobby cheap and do.
Yep. Well, I buy these. Then the LEDs that I've been getting are 0402s. So that's the size of them there. And I just buy the clear white, the warm whites, and then I use the Tamiya paints, and I just dip them in the Tamiya paints to get the colours I want. So these are the yellow marker lights that are actually going to be on the back of the semi-trailer on the cattle truck. So that's what I mean. There's about 80 LEDs going to be on there because there's two decks of these to go on. But you can buy these. I got these off Evil Bay for around about $15 for 20 LEDs with the tails on them. And after working with them, the tails are actually they're not a armature wire, or as you guys call it, a magnet wire with lamination on it. It's actually a insulated cable. You can pull a piece of the insulation off the end that they've stripped.
Huh.
So it's really easy to solder to, and at about just under $1 an LED. It's a lot cheaper than trying to solder tails onto the end of them.
Yeah.
Because I've done that, and that's no fun. So I've been doing that, and printed out a case for my Raspberry Pi 3. So, being as the case that was supposed to come with it didn't arrive, I went and had a look at our good friends at Thingiverse on the interweb and downloaded a print pattern and sent it to the printer, and hey presto, we've got a case.
Yeah. All right, Bob. Good night. Have a good one.
Yeah. I'm tired. Have a good night, guys.
All right, be good.
See you later.
John, did you see my thing in the message on our thing?
No. Yeah, I know. I'm right. If it's about running over, yes, I know. But I want to catch up. Yeah, I just wanted to catch up with Marty here for a few minutes. Yeah, Ron, Marty said he'd like for you to send him the link. I guess to the lights. Yeah, your mic's muted, Marty, if you're trying to talk.
Oh, I was actually trying to talk. I was having a conversation with myself by the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's not a problem. I can send a link. I think.
Yeah, Bryce. You got Ron's email it to him. You being on the panel, he's not going to see it here. Well, yeah, he will. Right. He can. Yeah, you can post it here because it'll show up for a few seconds, and he'll be able to stop the video and write it down.
Okay, I'll go and have a look for it now.
Okay, you get that link up, then we'll wind the show on up. That way Ron will have the link. He'll be able to get to it. Anybody started up after show?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Andy, I posted a link to that model railroad hobbyist on how to make your own wheel mask thing in the chat.
Like Andy's had to step out a minute.
I just walked away for a second. Thanks, Ralph. That's awesome, man. I'm definitely gonna do it for the 28s. I think I'm just gonna buy a couple for the 33 and 36. Man.
That link's up there.
Yeah. All right, Ron, there's the link there, so you can pause the video when it's posted on YouTube in about 15 minutes. You'll be able to get it then.
I will grab that link anyway, so I can paste it. Well, I can't paste it in the community or anything, so but I could.
Yeah.
Share it somehow.
Well, my timekeeper has told me I've gone into overtime.
Oh, that means overtime pay.
Yeah, he doesn't want me blowing this year's budget right here at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, that's not a good start.
All right.
You know how the bosses feel about overtime.
Yeah, MRL Train said that Jim in Michigan has a after show going. So anybody that wants to can go over there and jump in on Jim's Hangout. And let's see here. Oh, we've had a good show tonight. Some good topics were talked about. So I want to say thank you to everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat for coming in tonight. Real quick before I get into the usual ending here, let everybody know we got 2 new shows starting up. One is this month, January 25th. Chris of MRL Trains is going to be doing a Arduino workshop. That's going to be really interesting. He's been getting a lot of responses on that. It is a hands-on workshop. And this is beginners, starting out beginners. What he wants to do is introduce people into the Arduino, and people start working through. They're going to be doing some of the lessons that you find on Adafruit website or either on the Arduino website. They have some lessons there that you can work through for beginners, and then move on into using the Arduino on the layout for controlling lights and various animations and all. Just like Hawks was showing earlier in the show, where he wanted to animate a guard coming out and opening the gate, an automated gate for trains to enter into the repair shop area there. So, and have him move around where it looks like he's disconnecting the airlines on a car being dropped off. So you can do stuff like that. That's really interesting. It is hands-on. You will need to have a Arduino starter kit for that. We've put out a few links on those. You can find them pretty cheap on eBay. But then we got another show coming up. That's going to start February the 7th. That is going to be the fine scale build. And it's still going to be like a hands-on workshop. That's with Miles Hill and Andy and Barry. And what they're going to be doing is building wood kits to get people used to that and show them that wood kits are not that hard to do. They're really simple and they look good on layouts. It's live, so you'll be able to ask questions, build along with them. They're going to start out with the BTS kit. It's the CNO sectional house. The number of that kit is 27654. 27654. and that's from BTS. It's a good simple kit for starting out. You don't need a whole lot of tools. Most of us have probably got all the tools we need to build that kit. Razor knives, sandpaper, anywhere from 100 grit up to 600 grit. Sanding block, emery boards for sanding. Just have a bunch of good, sharp X-Acto knife blades ready. I like using the number 11 blade, which is very common, but I've also found it handy to have some of the X-Acto chisel blades too. They're good and useful also. So, I want to say keep checking in on the YouTube modelbuilders.com website for all the latest news and info on the Tuesday presentations, the eMag, and the live show schedules. The live show is once a month. That's going to be the third Saturday of each month. So we got one coming up here a week from this coming Saturday, January 21st. Got the eMag is bi-monthly. And Thursday's General Hangout is each week, every Thursday. You can go to the website, sign up for the eMag, so when it comes out, which it is coming out, we got a new issue coming out about the middle of this month. JD and his team, as we all know, do a great job on the magazine. Has a very nice layout. It's free and ad-free, but they work hard on that magazine. So you'll get an email notification. That is a PDF file, so you can download it, read it on a variety of different devices at your leisure. The Tuesday presentations, as everybody's getting used to now, is twice a month. They're the second and fourth Tuesday of the month. The new Arduino workshop will be on Wednesday night, and that will be the first and third week of each month. Tuesday and Wednesday shows are 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. So be sure and check your time zone so you don't miss the show and come in on it while it's live. That's 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern. The Thursday night show and the Saturday night live shows are still maintaining the hours they've always had. That's 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock Eastern time. All our shows are recorded, and they're on the YouTube site. We have playlists for each one of the shows, so if you're looking for something particular, it'll make it easier for you to find that show that you're looking for by just going to that playlist. I want to say thank you for coming in and viewing tonight. If there's topics you'd like for us to talk about specifically, please leave us a comment down below. Always appreciate it. If you'd like the show, put the thumbs up there, and definitely subscribe so you know what's going on in the community, and check out all these other good maulers we got in here too. We got some really good ones that work hard at the hobby, and they got some really good work. So with that said, y'all have a good night, and let's see what we got going on for the rest of the week. Nothing. The only major thing we got coming up is the live show on the 21st of January. That's with Big Bill and Barry. You know they give you a good show every time. Alright, have a good weekend. Safe weekend. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Good night.
Good night, John.
Good night.
Bye.